and welcome to Betting with Benny and Tino here at FTN Bets. It is the Thursday edition of the show, which means that we will be talking Week 15 teaser bets, as well as Thursday night football prop bets and Thursday night football props. The Kansas City Chiefs and the Los Angeles Chargers is the game that we have tonight. We'll be talking Chiefs Chargers props. A lot of good stuff here today. So before we get into it, let me bring in my esteemed co-host and producer, Steven Tino Rodriguez. What's going on, my dude?
It's going. We we had winning weeks, and profit is profit. We won our teasers though. We both won our teasers, which is nice to kind of foreshadow this show because this is our teaser bet show here for week 15. I'm excited. This hasn't happened as often as I expected. Everyone thinks teasers are going to be easy. That's the thing about teaser bets. They always seem easier than they actually are. The ones that seem like the locks, or at least if you try to do it the right way, the ones that seem like locks necessarily aren't. You have one I'm going to break your balls on a little bit here, but yeah,
Okay.
we can get into it.
I think I know which part of my my Week 15 teaser bets you're gonna have a problem with, but we'll see what happens there.
We could talk.
Do you want to recap? You want to recap last week? Do we have the numbers and all that for last week, or do we want to go right into this week?
No, yeah. So let's look at what hit. So I don't have the profits, but we do have you hitting Titans -2.5, which never was really in doubt. Shout out to Urban Meyer, who got fired this morning, and the Broncos -2.5 as well, which never really in doubt due to the entire Lions team having COVID. I was in my parlay. I had Lions +10, and then I think right after the show, the entire team got wiped with COVID. So we ended up getting on the other side of that on Sunday. We couldn't put out another show to tell you guys that, but it is what it is. My winning teaser, though, I got a nice middle here, and it actually kind of goes with your teaser this week because the Eagles, and that's a little foreshadow, the Eagles will be facing off with the Washington football team. But I had the Packers -6.5. I guess you could say it was in doubt for a little bit, but never in doubt, in my opinion. I mean, we almost had the near onside kick return at the end there that everyone was going crazy about on like a backdoor cover, which didn't count. And then Washington, I talked it up, and if you listen to the show, I said Dallas was going to control the game, and I think we can get a middle here. We got Dallas at -4. They ended up closing at around 6.5, I think. Still didn't matter. They covered both numbers, and in Washington covering the 10.5, and Dallas covering their number. However you looked at it, the 4 or the 6. So not a bad day. I think we were all over the board. We were pretty much right on it. Our props were right on it too. So,
Yeah, no, it was good. I mean, listen, we both hit our teasers. We were on different games too, so it wasn't even like we had the same thing there. So hopefully anybody that was listening last week got a chance to put some money down on those and get into it. And we're gonna get into our Week 15 teaser bets here as well. So I guess we'll start with the one that I know Tino's going to argue with me about, and that is the Eagles right now. A home team at -7 that I can tease down to -1 here. The Eagles are a -335 favorite on the money line right now, which means that they're about, I want to say maybe a 77-ish% chance to win this game is what they're being given here. So teasing it down to -1, I mean, you're basically teasing it down to what the money line would be. They just got to win this game by 1 point. Terry McLaurin hasn't practiced yet this week, still banged up. He had a concussion last week, missed the end of that game. I think Taylor Heineke was knocked out of that game as well. Backup Kyle Allen has COVID or is on the COVID list. I don't know if he has it or whatever, but he's in the COVID protocol, so he's not going to be playing here. I just look at this right now and I'm like, you know what? I just have a little more faith in the Eagles at the moment than I do in Washington. Like I said, the Eagles are favored by 7, so this is a big number anyway out there. Teasing it down to -1 is the way I'm going. Before I get into my second one, which I don't think anyone's going to argue with, go ahead. What's your beef with this Eagles Washington one? I'll give you the floor. What do you got?
I can't wait for you to get in your second one because I am on that one as well. No, you want to know what it is? It's that I actually really like the Eagles as well. And shout out to Chris Meany. I like to get an input of the fans, and he has a reason to be worried. And Jills gave me the same kind of fear with Dallas against Washington last week, but it's the spread. It's the number itself. That's you touched on it.
Okay.
-330 at home, -7. I know you just need them to win. They should pull that out, right? Probably gonna end up a lot closer than we expect, but Eagles coming off a bye. I don't know. It's just hard for me to forget that Gardner Minshew was just starting for them a week ago against the Jets, and everyone was losing their minds, right? It's like the Eagles are the Eagles, so it's like one of those things. Jalen Hurts, high ankle sprain. division game. We don't know about Heineke. I know Kyle Allen is, in the mix there. He's a serviceable quarterback. For me, I'd stay away. It's just more, that's more of why I don't like it. It's more for me, I'd stay away just because I don't know what Eagles team we're getting. I don't know what Eagles team we're going to get.
I mean, I got to be honest. It's not that I wouldn't play. I don't think I would play the Eagles -7 here. I think that's kind of the number where I'd be like, no. But I totally expect the Eagles to win this game. Maybe it's more 3, maybe it's more 5, but that's why I'm teasing it down to 1, because at this point, I pretty much just need the Eagles to win, which I do think they will do at home here. Washington, like I said, they're very banged up. And even the guys that are playing, this isn't like this is a great team that's out there anyway. I think this is a pretty even matchup. I think the Eagles are a little bit better, and they're at home this week, and they're the healthier team. I just think there's a lot more check boxes in the Eagles' favor than there are in the Redskins' favor. So that's why I'm there. Now, the second one you said you're on as well. So I don't think I'm going to get too much pushback or argument here. And that's the San Francisco 49ers. I would have liked it at 8.5. It's at 9. I'm okay with that. I teased it down to -3. I mean, we talked about this when Kittle went out, weeks and weeks ago, how it's not only that they're losing arguably their best pass catcher, but they're also losing basically a 6th offensive lineman that's out there because he's so good as a run blocker as well. And we saw it last week a little bit too. I think it was Jeff Wilson, a little bit of Jermichael Hasties on out of the backfield catching passes. Even without Elijah Mitchell, who I think is their best running back anyway, we don't know if Elijah Mitchell is going to play this week either. So they could be in the same situation, but even without him, the scheme that they have and the players that they have, and a guy like Kittle that's blocking and opening holes for them, it just makes them a very, very good football team here. They're going to pound it. They're going to throw the ball when they have to. Jimmy G doesn't make mistakes. This is a team that I just think goes out there and wins football games that they're supposed to win. And against the Atlanta Falcons, this is a game they're supposed to win. So I really like the San Francisco 49ers here. 49ers against good teams you have to worry about because they're not super talented where they can go out there and, just dominate good teams. 49ers against bad teams, though, they tend to beat up on them. So I like the 49ers -3. So that is my teaser for today. Teasing the 49ers down to -3, teasing the Eagles down to -1. Hopefully we can get another win out of it this week. Tino, what do you got for me in the teasers?
I do like it. I'm just letting you know I was on the Eagles. I felt good about the Eagles, but it takes an Eagles fan to show the concern that Meanie showed for me to be like, all right, maybe we should worry here. Maybe we should worry. And the reports on Hurts are all over the place. If Hurts has to throw the ball, that's the thing. Well, Washington's secondary is hot and cold, right? No Chase Young. I know the front kind of helps their secondary out, but if he's got to throw the ball, I mean, the Giants had 4 picks against them, so that's not great. Let's look at my teaser here. So this is a teaser of teams that need to bounce back really badly because they are in the back end here of the AFC playoff picture, and I think they're both good teams. I think these are 2 playoff teams. Both these teams were on the underdog parlay last week. Both had a chance to win and lost at the buzzer. I actually think these were 2 of the most exciting games of the week, if not the most exciting games of the week. Super exciting. Went down to the wire. I just needed the Bills to cover 3.5 at the end of the day. They couldn't just lose the game by 3. They had to force overtime, and that's what happens with that. And then the Bengals, I mean, crazy. Just a crazy ending. They battled back. They weren't really in it. So I'll start here with the Bengals. Plus 8.5 in a game I think they win outright. The Bengals are one of those teams, I don't know why, they don't tend to beat the teams they have to at home. I don't know, but then they go on the road, and then all of a sudden, I just think of the Chargers game, they get smoked at home, but then, they'll beat up on the Ravens, they're kind of all over the place. This is an overreaction game with the Broncos. I know everyone's looking at the 7 and 6s, and they're like, well, the Broncos are there. They have a decent schedule. It's I don't buy it. I don't buy the Broncos at all. I'm sorry. I'm smelling right past it. I don't know. If you're going to bet the Bengals, you got to bet the money line. Screw the 2.5. I think they win anyways. But if I can bring them up through the 7 to 8.5, I feel fantastic about it. I really feel good about it. And we've talked about a team that lets down at home. The Broncos love to let down at home. We've seen it against the Eagles. They got back against the Lions, right? Don't let last week's beat down on the Lions blur you out, right? So I mean, come
on.
Lions,
right? Exactly.
Right, exactly. And the entire team. Again, I was on the Lions +10. I know a few people were on the Lions +10. If they don't get COVID, maybe that game's different. So then we'll go to the Bills -5 here. They need to smoke the Panthers. I think they will smoke the Panthers. They're at home. They cannot lose any more games. They play the Patriots, I think, in a week. So they're going to win this game. The spread's, I think, at 10.5 now some places. I saw it up to 11. I'm getting it anywhere under 6 either way right now, whether it's 10.5 or 11. I have it here
Mhm.
at -5. I love it. I don't think I need to elaborate much on it. Cam Newton is not back. He's not. He's playing terrible. And
He
other than
is.
rushing for touchdowns, he can't. He's like the poor man's Taysom Hill right now, right? It's even
Yep.
worse. So, the Panthers are all over the place. They don't have McCaffrey. Walker might end up starting for Cam. Cam might start the first quarter. Walker comes in again. I don't know. 2 quarterbacks, no quarterback. I'm taking the Bills in a bounce
Mhm.
back spot to win by a touchdown at home. I love them to cover the spread outright. But these are 2 games that I feel good in outside the teaser, and I'm just going to make them my teaser pieces because I think they kind of play to the numbers really well.
Yeah, the Bengals is one that I looked at kind of hard too. I didn't want to take them on the road. That was the only thing that kind of
Mm-hmm.
pushed me off of them. I went with the Eagles and Washington because, as I say all season long, I tend to do the two-team teasers. Sometimes you like to take the shots with the bigger ones and get a little bit of a bigger payout there. I kind of try to keep it simple, figuring if I do the teasers every week of the season, if I hit a certain percentage over, I'm going to wind up making money for the season, and that's kind of the way that I roll with the way that I do things and manage my bankroll there.
Mm-hmm.
So I like it. I like where you're going with the Bengals, and obviously I love the Bills too. I think they can cover the number outright, which I know you said as well.
Yeah.
But again, if you can tease it down and get a little bit of a lower number on it there,
Why
no
not?
problem doing that either. I Carolina is just not a good team right now. Buffalo needs to win these games. They need to keep winning. There's a lot, like you said, there's a lot of teams in that AFC that still have a chance, depending on how things bounce
You,
out
and
the
Benny,
last
I
couple of
was
weeks
gonna
here.
say, so I was against the Panthers last week. I'm gonna try to not skew like where we're at. Like I feel like although we had some losses, some of those underdogs didn't hit. Those were close
Mm-hmm.
games. The Ravens backdoor covered. Like we were
Yep.
on it. I feel like we're starting to see the board clear, and like teams are starting to show their colors. So it's like don't overthink it.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's what I'm trying to do. I'm not saying all these are gonna be right, but at the same time, if you were right there, like the Bengals, they lost, but I still feel confident about them. They lost
Yeah.
in a narrow game to the 49ers. I'm not going to fall off the Bengals in
Mm-hmm.
another close game here. It's just in the pecking order. I'm just trying to see how
Well,
they stack
it's
up against them.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's the same thing. It's the same thing with Buffalo, right? Like you look at these teams that are really good teams. Yeah, they're coming off losses, but they're coming off an overtime loss to the Tampa Bay, defending champion Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who a lot of people have as either 1, 2, or 3 in their power rankings this year.
Mm-hmm.
You mentioned the same thing with the Bengals. Like they lost to a 49ers team that's pretty good, and they lost to them in overtime. It's not like this was the Titans game where they won 20-0. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? Or even the Raiders playing Kansas City losing 48-9. Like if a team loses 48-9, they don't belong in the same breath as the other team. If a team loses in overtime by a field goal or a touchdown, if they play that game 100 times, it's
Yeah.
going to turn out differently, 40 or 30 or 40 of those times. If you lose 48-9, you could probably play that game 100 times and you're probably going to lose it 95% of those times. There's a big difference between just losing a football game and getting completely blown off the field like the Raiders did in that game there.
Yep.
And that's what we're talking about here. Like, yeah, the Bengals lost, but the Bengals could have been one when it comes down to overtime and somebody kicking a field goal. That's a game that comes down to one play. One guy makes a pick six and runs it back instead of dropping that pass. One guy gets a strip sack fumble. One guy breaks a tackle that he didn't break in the game and winds up getting a touchdown instead of the team settling for a field goal. That's the difference in those close games. That means that those teams are both good. And if it's two good teams that we're talking about here, if you do that to a team like Tampa Bay, you're a good team. That's the thing about
Yep.
Buffalo. People are like, oh man, Buffalo sucks. They've been losing some games lately. Yeah, they lost to Kansas City. They lost to New England. They lost to Tampa Bay. These are all the teams that are at the top of
Mm-hmm.
the list of who's going to possibly win the Super Bowl this year. It's okay to hang with those teams and lose. Like that means that you at least belong in that conversation. And when you play somebody who's not in that conversation, you should roll them, which is what Buffalo was doing
Yeah.
earlier in the year.
I think
So
I
anyway,
think
let's
I was gonna
go
say
ahead.
that the Colts loss kind of skews people on Buffalo because they got smoked in Buffalo
Mhm.
by the Colts, but the Colts are a playoff team now. That's
I
all
was
I
just
have
gonna
to
say,
say.
even
Yeah,
the Colts though, the
yeah.
Colts are a team that has a chance to make some noise in the AFC. So it's not like you got smoked by the Jacksonville Jaguars,
Mm-hmm.
or in Cincinnati's case, by the New York Jets at that one game. But it is what it is on there. So anyway, let's get on. Let's get to what the people really want to hear us talk about here, Tino, and that is our Thursday night football props. Thursday night football prop bets, Chiefs Chargers prop bets here. I have three that I like. I know you have a couple as well. But
Hmm.
before we get into that, let's recap last week, and then we'll talk about week 15.
So I've been waiting to tell you this. I wanted to tell you on the show. Shout out to my buddy Andrew. He never hits me up for any picks whatsoever and asks me for a mortal lock of locks of just any line of a player to score a touchdown. And I don't know why. I was like, you know what? His line is low at minus 175. But I was like, Alvin Kamara is scoring a touchdown in this game. I was like, but hear me out. I was like, if you don't want to actually just bet that, just in case we get burned, let's get risky with it. Let's get a little frisky and do that
Hmm.
first touchdown bet. We got it at plus 450. I think it went down from your number that was
Nice.
at 5-1.
Yep.
I ended up just giving out your pick because I loved it so much, and I commented on your picture. I was like, Kamara, he should have got it on the first drive, and I loved him
True.
or 2 touchdowns. You were all over that, so a tip of the cap there. You are money on your first touchdown bets. So I'm looking forward to that tomorrow. But we have our Thursday night bet today. Thursday night bets today. I'll look at our prop counter right now. We're both 16 wins in. You are
Hmm.
16 and 19. I am 16 and 31. You're plus 15.1. I stood even. I am plus 18.1. Dawson Knox scored me a touchdown at 2-1. My other two guys lost. There's some math right there, and we
Hmm.
continue to keep things going. Hey, we're in the green, right? A win's a win.
That's
We
it.
broke even. We can't take much more away from it. At least we got one. At least we got one.
You know what? The other thing that actually worked out really well for me last week too, besides the Kamara touchdown, I said on the show I was waiting to get the Jalen Guyton touchdown number once they figured out
Mm-hmm.
like who was actually going to play and who wasn't. So Thursday night was when that number first popped out there, and it was plus 650 on FanDuel. So I ran right away and threw some cash on it at plus 650. It was like 11:30 at night when I saw it. It was right before I was getting ready to go to bed. By Friday morning, it was already down to like plus 180, plus 190. So I forget what I had. I think I had like 60 or $70 in,
Mm.
sitting there that wasn't in play on the NBA games that were still going on that night. So I was like, you know what? Let me just throw this on there. I want to get it. That number's too good to be true. I'll put more on in the morning. I wake up in the morning, it's plus 190, and I had a cash out for like, 200 something dollars on the plus 650 because obviously by that point everybody knew Keenan Allen wasn't going to play. We still weren't sure if Mike Williams was going to play
Mm-hmm.
or not. And then all of a sudden on Friday, Jalen Guyton becomes like a guy that everybody starts talking about. So luckily he did get into the end zone, caught the touchdown. I won like another $500 on that. So that was nice. It was good. It was a good weekend. I mentioned it on the show, but again, not one of my official bets because we couldn't find a number on it before the
Yep.
show started. So it is what it is. But let's talk about the bets for today, the guys that we like here today. I'm going to start with the biggest number guy on the board here, and he's probably only going to get maybe two or three targets in this game because he's not a guy that gets a lot of volume, but he is a guy that has been on the field for the most snaps at wide receiver after Tyreek Hill, and that's Byron Pringle. The thing I like about him here is there are sites that have him to score a touchdown here at plus 190, plus 210, plus 220. I think BetMGM has him at like plus 320. And then I forget where I played this. Was it on DraftKings? I think was plus 360 was the number that I saw. So if you go over to DraftKings, you can get plus 360 on Byron Pringle, who's basically the wide receiver two in Kansas City right now. Mecole Hardman's seen his snaps go way down right now. Josh Gordon is COVID, so we can expect he's probably not going to play. And Gordon's been out there for 30, 35 snaps the last couple of weeks. Demarcus Robinson has seen his playing time cut. Pringle is basically the number two wide receiver over here now. Now, like I said, he's probably only going to get maybe three targets in this game, but he has scored a touchdown this month already. So at the very least, I thought plus 300 would have been like the drop dead number where if it's below that, I'm not taking it. At plus 360, I feel like it is worth us taking a gamble on it right there. So Byron Pringle plus 360. We always do all these bets for a unit. This is one that I'd maybe throw like half a unit on. I wouldn't go crazy on this one, but it is one that I want to get in there. The one that I'm the most confident in is Austin Eckler to score a touchdown here. And this is actually more of a price play than anything else. BetMGM has him at 137, which is not really that great of a number overall. But if you look at the other sites, like DraftKings has him at minus 150. I think Caesars, it was like minus 170. FanDuel, I think it's like minus 175. So when you're talking minus 175 versus minus 137, you're looking like 40 basis points worth of value there. I think Austin Eckler, unless he gets hurt, is basically a lock to get in the end zone here. I tried to be like, no, I'm going to find a receiver. I'm going to look for somebody with more value. But really, the way you attack both of these defenses is kind of with the run. So I'm looking at it and I'm like, you know what? As long as Eckler's healthy, he's going to get in the end zone. He's one of the leading touchdown scorers on the season anyway. He's a guy that they use both in the running game and in the passing game to get into the end zone. Again, it's not a big number. You could take him for 2 touchdowns for plus 420, which I sprinkled a little bit on as well. But 1 touchdown at minus 137, I feel is like a mortal lock this week. So Austin Eckler is the second one that I put down there. And then my third one, what was my third one? I don't even remember at this point.
Clyde Edwards-Helaire.
Oh yeah, was it the Edwards-Helaire touchdown? That was
Yep.
So again, this is another one that was kind of a price play. He's minus 105 is kind of the number around the industry. You can find some places that have him at even money. I think was it FanDuel at plus 110 where I put it down in there?
I think so. Yeah, I
Yeah.
think that's what we're looking at.
I think it was either FanDuel or Caesars had him at plus 110. So really, it was more of a price play. Again, 15 to 20 basis points worth of value. You attack the Chargers through the ground right here. Clyde Edwards-Helaire, he played about the same amount of snaps as Darrell Williams did last week. They both played around like 30, 35 snaps. But Clyde Edwards-Helaire got 10 carries and 3 targets thrown his way. Darrell Williams had 2 carries and 3 targets thrown his way. So even in his first game back after being out for a big portion of the time, it was a 50-50 split. Before he got hurt, the split was way in his favor. I think he's going to start seeing even more. I think that this could be a game where he gets 12 to 15 carries. And they did split red zone carries, which makes me a little bit nervous here. But like I said, it's a price play at plus 110 against a team that you do want to run the ball against. So Clyde Edwards-Helaire, my third prop play for the day. Tino, what do you got for us for Thursday Night Football props?
I was just muted, so the people at home couldn't hear it, but they could see my lips moving, and I said, I love it, I love it, I love it. Yeah, you know something? I get really excited whenever you have first touchdown bets. So whenever I see anytime scores too, I have to peel it back a little bit and start looking at the first touchdown value because I think you're on sometimes. I mean, you've hit some crazy ones. So you're on Byron Pringle. I'm going to foreshadow and just let you know here that I am on the other side here. You kind of bashed him only a little bit, but I am on McCole Hardman. I was able to shop this number. Now, you were at plus 360 for Byron Pringle. I shopped, and I was able to get McCole Hardman at plus 450.
Nice.
Yeah, so he scored the last time these guys matched up. He gets utilized in jet sweeps a lot at the goal line. You're right. His snaps have gone down, but he's a big play guy. The Chiefs have been bothering me all season. So this is more of a price play. This is the best way I'll put it with Hardman. He's more of a price play at 4.5 to 1 on a guy who scored a touchdown against the Chargers earlier this season. Without Josh Gordon, Demarcus Robinson's whatever. So I feel like it's really going to be him, Tyreek Hill, and Travis Kelce, and that's going to be my other bet on here. I have Travis Kelce over 5.5 receptions. There's a better number. I have this at minus 139. That's what it was when I was coming on the show. It's minus 135 on DraftKings now. I love it. He had 7 receptions the last time he played the Chargers. He didn't score. I actually love Travis Kelce to score a touchdown. That's at plus 110 on DraftKings. You should probably shop that. He's my captain right now in a lot of DFS lineups. Travis Kelce is the beat to the drum of this Chiefs team. So let me just circle it back because I got off track. The Chiefs are bothering me because they're winning all these games. They're hot. Everyone saw it coming, but nobody that you expect to like really be doing great is doing great. Like Travis Kelce hasn't done anything. Tyreek Hill hasn't done anything. Mahomes is like slightly above what Mahomes has been doing. The defense has really been, the saving grace for this team during this winning streak. So it's kind of hard to figure them out. So I'm trying to remember what they have been good at and what they do and, look at the track records. And so there's one thing I'm certain on. Travis Kelce is a security blanket. He's gone over this number tons of times this season. I don't have the number off hand, but 5.5 is way too low for a guy who can go like 10 to 12 on any given day. And then McCole Hardman's my price play. Here's my best bet. This is my best bet. Justin Herbert, rushing touchdown plus 450. I'm getting back. I am hitting a primetime quarterback rushing touchdown today. He had 2 against the Kansas City Chiefs last year. He didn't get one earlier this year. He only has 2 this season. But you said it yourself. The way you get at the Kansas City Chiefs is running the ball. Chris Jones is out of the picture here this game because he is on COVID protocol. I think Justin Herbert will have an opportunity to have success in the running game. I know he's very selective when he runs the ball, and you saw how he tore it up against the Giants on that Jalen Guyton touchdown last week. Guy has a cannon. If he wants to air it out, he doesn't need to run it. But he has those legs. It worked against the Chiefs in the past twice last year in different games. I think that's the way they target him. I think plus 450 is great value on a guy who can do it. And so Two of my touchdown scorers are over 4.5 to 1 here. I think that's how we get ourselves over that 18.1 profit margin that we've been sitting on for about 2 weeks now. And I think Travis Kelce is, about a comfortable of a bet as I can make in this game. So, yeah, I feel good. Let's talk about the game really quick. Who do you think is going to come out on top here?
I mean, I think the Chiefs are going to come out on top here. I think they're the better team. But you mentioned something when you were talking about your bets here that I think is kind of interesting. And it's the fact that recently the Kansas City Chiefs have been winning the games in very un-Kansas City Chief-like ways. They have
Mm-hmm.
been relying on the run a little bit more than they have. They've been relying on their defense. They've been playing slow. They haven't been trying to get into shootouts with other team where the scores go up to the 50s. Now again, they scored 50 last week, but they did that because the Raiders sucked. And I don't know what the hell the Raiders were thinking going out there and stomping on the Kansas City Arrow before the game started. Like, dude, you do that against a team that you're supposed to beat up on that you don't like. You don't go out there and do that against a team who's going to absolutely pound
Well,
you.
what's worse, Benny? What's worse, doing that or the discount double check from the Bears in the first quarter? After the game started, both teams haven't beaten the other team on the road. They haven't won on the road in decades, and they're gonna taunt the opposing team at quarterback.
I'm all for like trying to get your team fired up, and there's a way and a time to do all that stuff. But there's also guys that you don't do it to. Like, you don't do it to Tom Brady, you don't do it to Aaron Rodgers, you don't do
Mm-hmm.
it to Patrick Mahomes, because pissing those guys off just puts them into Superman mode, and then the next thing you know, you get your ass kicked. And that's exactly what happened to both of those teams last week by trying to do that stuff. So just kind of keep in mind, those are probably not the guys that you want to taunt and give extra like bulletin board material or motivation to go out there and kick your butt, because those guys are going to go out there and kick your butt.
Mm-hmm.
You can go taunt some team that you're going to, you're trying to get in the head of a rookie quarterback or something. I'm all for that. That makes a lot of sense. But you probably shouldn't do it to the GOATs, because there's a reason why those guys are GOATs.
Yeah.
But what I was saying and what I wanted to say is, like Travis Kelce the last couple of weeks has had, I think, like 2 or 3 catches for like 30 yards.
Yep.
Tyreek Hill, the same thing. I think he only saw like 4 targets in the last 2 games or so. But remember, they've been winning these games without needing these guys. The one difference I think with this game is that I think the Chargers are going to put up some points. So if the Chargers put up some points, Kansas City is going to have to throw the ball a little bit more than they have been. It's not a case where they're going to be up 3 scores in the fourth quarter in this game. At least I don't think so. I expect this game to be a lot closer. Now, maybe Kansas City does come out and just blow them off the field right now, but I tend to think that the Chargers are a lot better than the Raiders, so I don't think this game is going to get into the craziness there. I think it's going to be a lot closer and a lot higher scoring. So that's the way I'm looking at it. What about you?
The Chiefs don't cover anything. That being at 3.5 frightens me about this game. I think I thought it was interesting too, because you normally go towards yardage props, and so I'm the only one kind of on catches. I'm not even on yards, but yeah, I just think there's going to be touchdowns based on kind of what I was looking at with you. I know the over-under is 52.5. Like, if there's one thing I'm certain on, I think that number, I think this might come down to the wire. Like, I don't trust the 3.5. I think it's going to be close. I think both teams kind of get back to what they do. I think Eckler does something in the passing game. I know you have Clyde, but I think Darrell Williams is a sneaky little play today. He's been doing,
I like him too.
He's been double digits in fantasy the last couple of weeks. They've been able to coexist. He's been really good in the receiving game. Super sneaky. Yeah, I think Mahomes and Herbert have a big game. I think they try to run the ball, but Clyde is Clyde. So I don't know. I think if you're the Chiefs, you have to win this game. I don't think you put the ball into Clyde's hands. You saw them try to do it against the Ravens earlier this year to put out, to close out a game. And dude, the Chiefs' best chance at winning ever is with the ball in Mahomes' hands and getting it to guys like Travis Kelce and Tyreek Hill. So, yeah, as much as I see them running the ball here, I think it's probably more from the quarterbacks randomly and sporadically in pass rushes, because the Chargers do have a good passing defense, as I saw firsthand as they beat up on the Giants, and then Joey Bosa decided to do a halo teabag after he stripped Mike Glennon. So, yeah, anyways, I like the Chiefs, but I don't love the cover, so I'll just take the over so I can have a play here over 52.5, which went over. They hit 54 the last time these two teams played.
Yeah, I'm on board with you. And the other problem that I have with going with the yardage props here today is that, this isn't a game where you could say, like, a lot of times when I'm playing the yardage props, I'm like, we know that this is the guy who gets the volume. We know that this is the way this team is going to play. We know that this is the way this is going to turn out. So it's a lot easier to predict those things. If you look at the yardage prop, spray chart, if somebody did like a simulation of 10,000 games here, you're going to have games where Tyreek Hill has 250 yards and games where he has 25 yards. And that's the problem that I have is today I feel like the yardage with a lot of these guys is going to be variable because if Kansas City does have success on the ground, you're going to get another 4 or 5 target game out of Tyreek Hill. If the game is a little bit closer and a little bit higher scoring like it could be, you could get one of the 12, 13 target games out of Tyreek Hill that we've seen him have this year. I don't really know. And when I don't have a way to kind of narrow that down, that's usually when I avoid it. And that's why I'm staying away from a lot of the catch and yardage props this week. But I do think there's going to be some touchdowns in this game. So that's why I said, let me see if I can grab some of the touchdown equity out of this.
Yeah.
And if I can do that, then I'll be pretty happy. So there you go. It is time for us to actually wrap this up because I know Tino has another show he has to go produce right here. So for Tino, this is Benny for FTN Bets with Betting with Benny and Tino, Week 15 teaser bets and Thursday Night Football prop show. Good luck, everybody.